Good Monday, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading for October the 31st. Today, we are reading together in Job chapter 26, which is the first half of Job's response to the last speech by the three original friends who have shown up within this discussion and discourse up to this point. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar have delivered, let's see here, 3, 6, I guess eight total speeches within this section so far, chapters 3 through 25. And now Job is going to answer what was raised by Bildad in chapter 25, and he's going to do that in 26 and 27, and then in 28 through 31, there's going to be kind of, in a sense, Job's closing arguments concerning his view of what he has been going through. Then Elihu is going to speak beginning in chapter 32 and go for a few chapters before the Lord steps into the scene and speaks and really corrects the record for all who have been involved up to this point, and reminds everyone that he is God and that he has all these things under his control and that they're really outside of their purview of understanding. Which, to mention that, is really relevant because today's chapter 26, I think, really gets at that. It gets at the reality that everything God is about is beyond the understanding of the humans that are involved. Specifically in this particular situation, it is far beyond their understanding. Again, their worldview and everything that is about them to get what exactly has been taking place in the life of Job and why these things have happened to him. So reading here in chapter 26 of Job, again, thanks so much for tuning in for today's reading. We've got 2 months left. After we get done today, we have November and December. We have a couple of days off. I think we have 1 day off for Thanksgiving and Christmas. But we're going to continue reading through Job, finish that out. We'll read through the Proverbs together. And I believe finish with Ecclesiastes. I believe that is what I set for us for the rest of the year. And then someone was asking me about next year's reading again. I think the plan is for us to read from Genesis through Esther, to get the Old Testament narrative portions of Scripture, get those done, to know that we've read through those and discussed them a bit. So please know that that's what we'll be doing next year. At least that is the plan right now, and I hope that'll be really beneficial to us. I know, unfortunately, sometimes the Old Testament isn't given the attention that it needs. And one of the ways in which we can give really good attention to the Old Testament is just by reading it together. Again, we'll be reading 1, sometimes maybe 2 chapters a day, just so we can fit all those chapters in. I want to say there's like 400 and something chapters from Genesis through Esther. So with 365 days and maybe a couple of breaks off here and there for major holidays and stuff, we'll probably need to read a couple of chapters here or there, and I'll do my best to align that to where it's not just super long readings on any particular day. Try to keep them pretty good, and like we've been doing here, once we've been down to one reading from anywhere from 10, 15, 20 minutes at the most of a read a day. So hopefully that will be good for us as we go into next year, and that'll be much more doable. Even doing these for once every day, to not have super long readings makes it much more doable for me. And I'm going to try my best again next year as well to do a lot of pre-recording for these so that they come out at a much more consistent time throughout the day. That's my goal, at least. So I'm going to try to do that to make it a little easier for people to plan out when they might want to be able to sit down and read and such. But with all that said, here we go. Job 26, verse number 1. Again, this is Job answering Bildad, and not just Bildad, but also Eliphaz and Zophar, because Bildad really just summarized a lot of what had been said. So here is Job's response to that. Then Job answered, Job 26, verse number 1. Oh, how you have helped the powerless and delivered the arm that is weak. how you have counseled the wise and abundantly provided insight. With whom did you speak these words? Whose breath came out of your mouth? If you didn't catch that, I believe Job's words here, his words are very much dripping with sarcasm. Verse number 5, the departed spirits tremble beneath the waters and all that inhabit them. Sheol is naked before God, and Abaddon has no covering. He stretches the northern skies over empty space. He hangs the earth on nothing. He wraps up the water in his clouds, yet the clouds do not burst underneath its weight. He obscures the view of his throne, spreading his cloud over it. He laid out the horizon on the surface of the waters, at the boundary between light and darkness. The pillars that hold up the sky tremble, astounded at his rebuke. By his power he stirred the sea, and by his understanding he crushed Rahab. By his breath the heavens gained their beauty. His hand pierced the fleeing serpents. These are but the fringes of his ways. How faint is the word we hear of him. Who can understand his mighty thunder? Job 26. Once we get past the sarcasm, and again, I think that sarcasm is meant to mock the so-called great wisdom of these friends who are really trying to press upon Job the fact that they really understand how these things are working. And if Job wants to understand, then he just needs to listen to them. Job is launching into a section in the beginning of verse number 5 where he is making the case, again, in his closing arguments, you might say, beginning this closing arguments, that you can't understand God. We as human beings, we would fail mightily if we truly tried to understand God in every way. He is the all-knowing, the all-powerful God. The departed spirits tremble at him beneath the waters and all that is inhabited or that inhabits them. Sheol, the place of departed spirits, and the bad place of Sheol, the Abaddon, it's all naked and bare before God. He sees all of it. He controls all of it. God stretches out the northern skies, and a lot of times in ancient Near Eastern cosmology, meaning the way that the creation, everything works. Anytime north is referred to, it's often referred to, or it's often used in reference to the heavenly realm. North, again, north above and beyond. So he stretches out the heavenly realm over empty space. And then he takes the earth and he hangs the earth on nothing. God is just able to make the earth be there without it holding on to anything at all. Consider clouds, that he wraps up the water in the clouds and they don't burst, that they just function the way he wants them to function. Getting down to verse number 12, by his power, he stirred the sea. By his understanding, he crushed Rahab. By his breath, the heavens gained their beauty, and his hand pierced the fleeing serpent or the Leviathan. These creatures here, Rahab and Leviathan, were seen as chaotic forces in mythology that had to be tamed in order for creation to come into its somewhat calm and settled substance. It's settled being. And here Job is mentioning that it is God who controlled the sea, or who stirred the sea, who brought rest to the sea. He controlled chaos and allowed for this world to be what it is today. He did that. But notice verse 14 is crazy to me. That he's speaking a lot in this section 5 through 13 about God's creative power, about his sovereignty over creation, how he made creation, how he sustains creation, he keeps creation going the way that it needs to be. But verse 14 is actually kind of humorous. These are but the fringes of his ways. The fringes of his ways. It's almost as if Job is saying, we haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet. These are not even the most incredible aspects of who God is and the power that he possesses. And yet how faint is the word we hear of him. Not only that, but who can even understand his mighty thunder? Job's point here, I believe, is this. You're sitting here trying to tell me that you know exactly how God operates. You have no idea, and none of us do. None of us can truly understand the real depth of God's power and ability. It is beyond us to fully understand what God does. It truly is just beyond us. Therefore, for his friends to make these absolute statements and these very strong indictments against Job, saying, well, Job, what you're going through is absolutely a result of your sin, that God is holding you accountable. Job saying, I think you might have missed the point here. I think you might have missed the way that God operates. And again, we know, knowing the background of the story, that they were completely wrong in the way that they judged the situation. For God was not judging Job for sin. He was not bringing justice against an evildoer. That's not who Job was. So here is Job again, his main point being this: it's beyond us. We just can't fully understand. And here's my point for us today. That's okay. That's okay. It is okay for us to not fully grasp the ways of God. Not only is it okay for it, and that's not even the point. The point is we can't. Therefore, we need to be content with the inability to understand such. I guess that's really a better way to put it. We need to be content with not being able to fully understand the ways of God, because we are very limited. We're very finite in our understanding and comprehension. And that's true just in understanding life in general and how this world operates, but even more so concerning how God operates. So I'll encourage us all to don't lose sleep at night. Don't worry yourself to death. Don't experience anxiety because you just can't wrap your mind around why this thing happened or why that thing happened or how this thing works or how that thing functions. Leave it to the Lord, because he has given us plenty for us to concern ourselves with. You know, there's there are plenty. I think about what Jesus says, I believe is in Matthew 6. You know, there are plenty of worries for today to worry about these other things. Plenty for now for us to deal with. And yes, there is. So don't stress about these things, but just be concerned with what God has revealed to us and do our best to live properly in response to the revelation that God has given to us. May that be our goal. And may we take to heart the words of Job here within this text of Job 26. Thank you so much for tuning into this reading on this Monday. Hope you have a great rest of your Monday. For those who might be trick-or-treating, or for those who might be handing out some goodies for the trick-or-treaters, hope you enjoy the night tonight. Don't believe it's going to be all that cold, so that's good. Maybe the rain and stuff will move out as well. That'd be great too. But hope you do enjoy the night. And next time you see my face on the screen, it will be November. Wow, that is crazy to say. I might be mistaken. I think tomorrow might be December. At least that's what my house is beginning to look like, because Katie just ignores November altogether whenever it comes to her decorations in the house. But be that as it may, far be it from me as the husband to complain about the decorations of the house that I have put zero effort into myself. So if you come into our house in November, don't worry, it's still November. It's not December yet. Katie just wants to make sure that we are all in the holiday spirit for Christmas coming up. But thanks again for tuning in. Have a great rest of